I'm a polyglot and I speak 6 languages, and I don't confuse them. I don't mix them up. In my mind, around here I have Portuguese, English, Spanish, Italian, German, French. But how does that not influence one another? It's because of my approach to learning these languages. So, how does that exactly work? The thing is, I learned these languages really being immersed in the language. And when you're immersed in the language, you don't really have the need of like translating all the time. Of course, in the beginning you can translate things, but the thing is, as you go deeper and deeper and further in the language, you start having enough vocabulary to use just that language and that language alone. I don't need to, for example, right now I'm speaking in English, and my mind is like away from Portuguese, which is my my native language. But a lot of expressions, a lot of words, like I'm not using them right now because I don't need it. I'm speaking in English. Whereas if I was speaking Portuguese, I would use a different vocabulary, different word choices. So as you go deeper in the language, you start using that language, and you don't really need to translate everything. That's the problem. If you're speaking in English but thinking in French, you're gonna be using your French brain, right? I like to think that there's like a drawer, you know. In each drawer, I have a language. But when I close one drawer, I don't really need to access the other ones. So it's that simple. You just open a drawer and close it, and you lock it. And when you lock it, you can't really access the other vocabulary. Does that make sense? For example, some people say that, oh, I get tired, I'm speaking a language, and oh my God, 3 hours of Spanish for me, and my brain is like burning. Maybe because you're thinking in English and then you're translating it to Spanish. And of course, that's so tiring. I've had some experience of like translating, interpreting people live. That's tiring. You know, that I can assure you this time. But when I'm just speaking the language, it's not that tiring because it's pretty much the same thing. It's just other codes, other letters, other sounds. But the thing is, language, like when we talk about grammar, so what's grammar? Grammar is basically the logic. Grammar is logic. You're like this first and that after that, and later you put that. It's pretty much logic. So when you use different logics to different things, that's okay. But if you use the Portuguese logic in English, that's not gonna work. That's really not gonna work. Imagine a guitar player trying to play the piano with a guitar mind. You don't even have strings there, right? Just inside the piano, but I mean, you can't access that. So you gotta like make your mind think as a piano, not a guitar. When you go to the drums, you think about the drums, but English, Portuguese, Spanish is pretty much the same thing. You confuse them. They don't confuse you. In a nutshell, basically, what you need to do is like just use your English brain when you're speaking English, and that's a humble move. It's like it's not easy because, for example, maybe you speak Portuguese and Portuguese is your native language, and you've been speaking that for like many years. But think with me, if you have a basic vocabulary, you can speak with the basic vocabulary. You cannot use the advanced one. So that's the difference. That's the game changer. When you start thinking about like the other languages, the other expressions, the other grammar rules, the past, the future. If you can only speak in the present, just use the present and that's it, you know? You need to accept your current level. If you don't know other words, just study more and then you're gonna be using. But if you're too often you're asking yourself like, oh, how can I say that? But how's that? This word. You see that you're using your other brain, your other drawer. Just close the drawer and try to say the basic. And face it, if you can't speak, like if you can't really speak it, then just don't do it, right? So the thing is, you gotta know your level and you gotta respect your level. Respect your level, right? Think about, I don't know, skateboard. If you start skateboarding, you're not gonna drop off a big ramp. No, you're gonna start on your floor It's the same thing with languages. Subscribe for more, leave a comment, leave a like, share with your friends, and let's keep on learning languages.